In this video, we'll start formal definitions and recognition of intervals, starting with the smallest intervals, the seconds. In the video about half steps and whole steps, we introduced the idea of an interval, which is a musical distance. In this video, we'll learn several new types of intervals. An interval is identified by two terms: a number that represents how many letters the interval spans, and a quality that refines the distance of the interval to a more precise degree. We'll illustrate that by starting with two intervals that you already know, half steps and whole steps. For the moment, let's only deal with diatonic half steps and whole steps. Those are the ones where we get a neighboring letter rather than two versions of the same letter. I gave you examples here: E to F, G to A flat, as opposed to G to G sharp, which was a chromatic half step. D to E, that's a whole step. C sharp to D sharp is a whole step, and so is A down to G. That's a whole step as well. First of all, it should be clear that while we can specify that we move a certain interval up or down, just like we can move a certain distance forwards or backwards, the distance itself is the same whether moving, let's say, from C up to D or from D down to C. So as far as the number goes, all these diatonic half steps and whole steps are seconds. We count the starting note as 1, and we count each letter until we get to the destination. So from C up to D would be 1, 2, or from B flat down to A would be 1, 2 in the other direction. That's why we call it a second. On a musical staff, it would be the next note higher or lower. So on a staff, and let's use bass clef for this one, if we go from C up to D, we count 1, 2, and that's why that's a second. Or if we have A flat down to G, we're still counting seconds. If I wanted to extend that, if I had that note to that note, I would count 1, the line in between is 2, and that would be 3, so that's a third. If I wanted to start there and go up to there, 1, 2, 3, and this would be 4, that's a fourth, and you get the idea. So keep counting spaces and lines, or lines and spaces, from one note until you get to the other, and that's how you get the number. So what would the quality be? Let's start by identifying the whole step as a major second. Why major? The simplest answer, that it is the distance up from 1 to 2 in a major scale. We note then that a major second consists of two half steps in it. What about the half step then? That's a minor second. In brief, a minor interval is one half step narrower than a major interval. So if the major second consists of two consecutive half steps, the minor second only has one half step. So if we look on a keyboard, let's take the interval from C to D. I was calling that a major second. So here is C and here is D. And notice that there are two half steps getting from C to D. On the other hand, from E to F, it's only one half step. There's no note, no black key in between. So if C to D is two half steps and E to F is one half step, this is narrower than that one by one half step. So major second equals 2 half steps. Minor second equals 1 half step. So you could see, even without identifying the notes, from there to there is a major second, from there to there is a minor second, from here to here is a major second, from there to there is a minor second. So those are just other names for whole steps and half steps.